Now just a quick recap on what we've covered so far. First, what planetary industry or PI is and is not. The fact that it is not going to generate vast wealth. It's your side gig. We then had a look at how to find what you want to make, researching markets and so on, and then how to find what you need to make what you want, finding the planet that you're going to make it on, getting a command center, and then setting it up on said planet. If you remember from the Neocom industry planetary, I dragged that down to here. So we bring that up. It's a fewer steps. As you can see, I've got 6 planets. If you remember my skill, I've got full planetary consolidation, so I can have up to 6 planets. But you get one for free, remember that. So if we go to our planet, as you can see, nothing's happening. The command center's just sitting there. Now, as I said, you want command center upgrades to be at least 2 or 3. Gives you a better chance to set up something worthwhile initially. So we'll say you're on command center upgrade 2. First thing you want to do is upgrade your command center. As you can see, you get 1 level free, 2, 3, 4, 5, which corresponds through to your command center upgrade level. And you want to upgrade it. If you've got the command center upgrade level unlocked, it'll show like this, just a grey box. If you don't have it, you'll find ones with a crosshatch in there, and if you hover over it, it's just going to say you need command center level, command center upgrade level, whatever. Here's our current CPU, here's our current power. You're not going to be able to do much with that. So we'll say you got 2, upgrade, and again, edits pending. You've made a change. It's going to cost you just over 1 million ISK to actually upgrade. If you exit or cancel, the upgrade will be undone. So submit. It pays the cost, and you're now upgraded. As you can see, we've got more CPU, more power. Notice capacity hasn't changed here. Nothing can change that. So, how do we set this up? One of the first things I'll set up, besides the command center, is your storage facility. If you hover over it, you can see that it's got a build cost. You only need to pay that cost once when you build it. It also has a power load and CPU load, which will take from your command center. And the link between this and the command center will also take CPU and power. Click on it, make sure it's nice and close, and again, edits pending. If you see edits pending and it all looks good, do not forget submit. You don't want to forget this. Submit, pays the cost, and you've now got 2 structures on the planet. However, this one is fairly useless until it's linked back to the command center. So click on it. As you can see, this has got 12,000 cubic meters, way more than the command center's 500. And go to links. No links present. Create new. As you can see, it's already wanting to link to something. Hover over there, click on it, and submit your edit. So now we have command center powering your storage facility. Why do I put a storage facility down first? That we'll get to as we start to deploy more structures and other facilities. Now, we want to make super tensile plastics, which is a tier 2 material. For that, we're going to need 2 different tier 1 materials. So we're going to need 2 basic industry facilities. Again, build cost, power, CPU. Let's click on that. We'll put one here and one here. Then submit to confirm the changes. There's your cost. And again, links. Let's scroll that up. Create new to there. Then click on this and link it back to there. And submit. Now, these could link back to the command center, but I have found that that can throttle precisely what actually comes through. It can actually starve your tier 1 and other structures if you're going through the command center. So ideally, you just got your command center linking through to your storage and call it a day at that point. Now, as you can see, these are currently showing as red because we haven't told them what we want to make, where to get the raw materials for what they want to make, and where to send the output materials that they make. But we'll get back to the tier 1s in a minute. Now, you could be wondering, why am I just setting up the basic complex here, command center, storage, 2 tier 1s, and committing them before doing anything else? I like to have the CPU and power grid costs already accounted for. So if I have to undo or cancel any change, like from the extractors, which we're about to do, or from anything else, it doesn't undo everything. That being said, now let's actually get some stuff happening. Also, you pay these costs to build them once. You only need to pay it again if you decommission it and want to build another one. Something you should really not have to do, like, ever. The other one is all these links must lead back to the command center at some point. So we've got the link here, and because it links and links, we're gold. So if we go back to scan, we want noble gas. You can use this slider basically to focus more on where stuff is. Same with plankton, planktic. As you can see, because it's less abundant, we may need to reduce it just to get a better idea of where our resources are. That being said, we'll start with setting up for extraction of planktic colonies, which as you can see is required for biomass. Then we'll move to noble gas, which is required for oxygen. So we played it with our slider a bit. As I said, notice the color gradation. This has a better node to actually extract from. It should have more. Go back to build, and you want an ice extractor control unit. Notice it's got a lot higher power load. All of this is going to pull off your command center. So I click on that. As you can see by the big circle, that circle is where you can actually place your extractor heads. The extractor control unit is just that. It's the control unit. It's the number of heads you attach to it, which actually says what you're going to extract. So I'll place that there. Submit. Click on it. Links. Create new. Back to the storage. And submit. Go back to scan. Change it to Noble. Because we've got that big block, we want to narrow it down a bit to get to the best resources. Once again, extract a control unit. Try and keep the link short, but covering as much as possible. Select, submit. Then, bing, link, create new. Also back to your storage. Notice everything is going back to storage. As we haven't told them what to extract, of course they're going to be pulsing red. They don't know what they want. So if we head back to scan, plain tick. Let's drop it down to get a better idea. Right. So here we're going to start with plankton colonies because that's the more constrained resource. If you click on this, as you can see it's saying I'm not extracting anything, I've got no cycle, not outputting anything, no time remaining. So click on that to install your program. And we want plankton colonies. As you see, it brings back up the scan without you having to. Now at this point, with your constraints on the command center, power grid and CPU, you may wonder how many extractor heads you can put out. Each extractor head requires 550 power, and power is going to be your main factor to constrain what you can actually do. If you're not too sure, go to here, just click install until that runs out. That'll tell you how many extractors you can probably put down. 6, 7. As you can see, we can't do 7. But we can probably do 3, maybe 4. Because plankton colonies is more constrained, and we're going to need something else. Well, we're going to want to maximize extracting this. There was plenty of noble gas, so we're not going to need as many. Click on 2 of them. So we've got 4 extractors. As you can see, program duration is 1 hour. Let's take that up to 6 hours. As you can see, it's saying 6962. Let's drag that in there. As you can see, you can just drag these extractor heads anywhere within that grey circle. We'll drag that one in there. As you see, it's saying we've got 7,888 per hour. Average per hour is an important number. A T1 facility, such as either of these, will require 6,000 units per hour to keep it happy and producing along. So as long as you've got 6,000 per hour or more, it should not only keep it happy, but should allow you to build up a backlog of raw materials so that if your program finishes here, then you can it'll just carry on feeding off your backlog. So stroke that one in here. As you can see, 9,000. So over the course of 6 hours, there should be way more than enough, and it'll leave us with excess. So we start, not routed. You've told it what to get, not where to send what it gets. So you go to products. As you can see, mount, type, not routed. Click on that, create route. As you can see, this is now grayed out. This says, where do you want to send it? Click to your storage facility, not to your command center. Create. Edits are pending. Submit that. So now these are extracting. This is going to send everything to here, which is what we want. So we'll set up this one, install, and we want noble gas. As you can see, we've got a big chunk of it there. Again, take that up to 6 hours to match. 1, 2. Notice that we're just about at the limit, because it wants 550 megawatts of power, 110 CPU. We're good on CPU, but power is going to be your limiting factor. Drag that around, drag that in. We're low. Let's change that filter a bit, just to focus in a bit. Now if we drag it down to where it was a lot higher, as you can see, average per hour is now 7,500, which is much better. Start. Again, it's not routed. It needs to be told where to actually send it. So go to products, click on that, create route, to your storage, create, submit. So at this point, these two extractors are going to be sending everything through to here. You could link an extractor straight through to a tier 1, but if you're extracting a lot more than the tier 1 needs, it'll have 3,000 units in its production cycle, 3,000 units sitting in input ready to be processed, and if your extractors want to send another 1,000, where's it going to send it? All it knows to do is send it through to the tier 1. And so it'll stall, waiting for space here. And you actually lose extraction. Sending it here, however, it means that the only limiting factor is how much storage space you've got available. It's not dependent on your T1s actually having space available. So that's why I send everything to storage, and why from storage to tier 1 and back to storage, even if you've got a tier 2. Same deal with the tier 2. If your tier 2 has got a production cycle and run, its input is full, where's your T1 going to output to? If your T1 is going back to storage, and storage is feeding your tier 2, you don't have to worry about that as much. So with that being said, let's set up our T1 facilities. Now I do these one at a time. Everything from the schematic, the input routes, and the output, just so I don't get mixed up with whatever the hell I'm actually setting up. So we've got noble gas, and which is producing oxygen, and we've got plankton colonies, which is producing biomass. So let's set up our biomass one first. We want to install that, so we install it. Now it says, where am I going to send what I make? And it's already set, ready to say, select a destination. We want to send it back to storage. Create. It's still red because it doesn't know where it's going to get it from, as it says, input routes missing. Submit that anyway. Go back to your storage. As you can see, we've got nothing, so how do you tell it what to actually route? Go to your routes tab. As you can see, it knows it's getting plankton and noble gas incoming along with biomass. This is coming from your T1, that from your extractor, that from your extractor. As we're doing biomass, we want to route plankton colonies. So we create that route, and we want to send it here. Create and submit. Now you see it's gone yellow. It knows what it's making, where it's getting the raw materials, and where it's sending the output. Repeat that with our other one, which is making oxygen. Install. Route to there. Create. Submit. You could do all the routing, etc. in one step, but I prefer to actually make sure I've got each step set up, and just hitting submit's not really a big ask. If you go back to your routes, as you can see, it knows it's getting biomass incoming, knows it's getting oxygen incoming, it's getting noble gas incoming, it's getting plankton incoming, and it knows it's got an outgoing from the storage to the basic industry. So click on your oxygen, create to there. This is what happens if you've got the wrong schematic. It'll tell you, no, that's not what I want. Noble gas, schematic, and as you can see, make sure you get the right schematic. Input routes missing, submit that. Get back to your routes. Noble gas is incoming. Create route. Now it's happy. I clicked on oxygen so you could see that if you're trying to route something that it doesn't want, it's going to tell you, no, I don't want that. So it will catch you, and here we go. It's all happy now. So our basic configuration is extractor to storage, storage to T1, back to storage. And there is your initial complex. As you can see, command center is off to one side because we don't want to send things through the command center all the time. Now I will make a note about cycles, production cycles. If you click on here, you see its production cycle is 15 minutes. If you click on here, its production cycle is 30 minutes. So ideally, you want to have, oops, back to here, and its input is 3000 units. So 2 production cycles here should produce enough to 1 production cycle here. With a T2, 2 production cycles of T1 produces enough materials to feed a T2 for that particular component. So at this point, this will just trundle along, extracting, sending it through to your T1s, sending the output back through to your storage. If you have the CPU and power, you can add your T2, but an argument can be made to actually delay that until you have built up a bit of a supply of T1 output. So 4 or 5 hours worth of that, because then you'll be feeding your T2 straight from the storage, and it will have enough of a backlog to keep going no matter what happens until it's actually used up all that backlog, which if you've got your extractors going more than 6,000 per hour shouldn't happen, and you'll build up excess raw materials and possibly even excess T1 materials. So this will just carry on along for a little while, slowly building up its materials. Because if you have a look here, we've got no leeway to add anything else. We've maxed out the planet as much as we can, and that is just with Command Center Upgrade 2, remember. Now, while that's just trundling along, I want to touch briefly on how you actually get your stuff off the planet so that you can wander off to market, sell it. At this point, with this current configuration, your only option is to launch it from the command center. And as we're sending everything to storage, from and back to storage, the only way to get it from storage to the command center is with an expedited transfer. We've got nothing to transfer at the moment, so we won't worry about it. But you can do that. There are some limitations around expedited transfer. There is a 60-second cooldown on launching anything from the command center, which is actually way less time than it takes to expedite a transfer from storage to command center, for example. And in much the same way we do from storage to T1 back to storage to prevent a stall, we also don't do T1 direct to command center, because if that fills up, your T1s are going to stall. And ideally, we do not want to stall any part of the chain, or if we do have a stall, not impact any other part of the chain. Now, we'll leave that trundling along, and next we'll look at getting a command center upgrade and what else you can put down with it and how else you can change things.